I am DM Zone. This is Gamers Oasis. Let's get into this. So, what's my story? What exactly is going on here? But first we gotta have some globals. Okay. Nice 174 peg. Gotta love that. Nice little 65 peg one. Yes. Yes. So this is what I'm calling the grind in this mayhem. This was the middle that went on and on and on forever. You can see here and there 50 peg one. And I'm going to end this one on a near global, like I like to do, because these are important when you get like 49 peg. But I'm going to promise one more coming up here in a little bit. But I want to get into a little bit of my story first, and then we'll show the craziness that is this last global. And I'm not saying crazy like it's a huge amount, just what was going on around the same time and all that type of stuff. That's the part that's crazy. Okay, so when did I start? I want to say it was July 14th, a little over 2 years ago, so 2.5 years ago. I want to say that's my actual character birthday. Without looking, I'd have to, that's a guess. Excuse me, I'm just getting done being sick. So a little bit of fluids. I started watching a YouTube video, and there was it come up about a topic, and I was showing a coworker this video, and she's not on my team anymore right now. She's gone on to do something else, but we're still in contact. Good person. Anyways, this commercial came up, and I was like, one second, I'm gonna watch this commercial. And she's like, this is so you. This is like exactly what you are. You would love these things. I'm like, you love Harry Potter. She's like, stop. Anyways, so we got a Harry Potter tattoo. Anyways, so we're watching this commercial, and it was the Serial Overdrive commercial for Entropia Universe. And I didn't know who Serial Overdrive was. I didn't know what Entropia Universe was. I've been playing games since 1998, back when Ultimate Online and Dark Age of Camelot was a thing. So I've been playing online games for a long time. And of course I played the Diablo 1, and I played Baldur's Gate 1, and my nose is super itchy for some reason. Everyone knows I'm a little older, and I've played video games for a long time. But I did not know about Entropia Universe. And there are some I'm sad, and I'm kind of happy in some ways too that I found this later, because I think it would have been a problem early on. Anyways, so I went ahead and made my character, and I was like, well, I went ahead and downloaded the game, and I've been doing YouTube now for a while. Restarted YouTube in February like 23rd of 2018. And I've been trying to get my D&D content going and all that. And I was like, you know what? I feel like this game is going to be for a long time a game I want to do. And I want to be completely different than everything else that's out there. And so let me watch YouTube videos on this and see what's out there, and then I'll make my decision about how I want to approach this from the very beginning. I don't normally talk about numbers on my channel, but this isn't really numbers. This is just more my approach. But this is what I did. And I immediately found Serial Overdrive because he was very popular back in this time period, doing a lot of videos on this. He's since moved on mostly to do some other videos. And we've talked through comments a couple times, but not as much as I would have liked. I'm still a huge fan, even though I'm a critique of him as well. I have a critique of really everyone, but that's more personal, internals. I don't necessarily voice my critique always, which is probably a good thing. But then I found that there were some other ones. There was Scotty underscore C93 who stopped doing it. There's one of Serial Overdrive's society mates was doing it, and his name is escaping my memory, and I'm really sorry. Anyways, if it hits me like later, I'll say it. But he stopped doing videos, and I'm also sad about that. He had the 13 on the road to 13 million subscribers, one subscriber at a time. You know who I'm talking about if you've been watching videos for a while. And there was 3 or 4 others. And what I saw about all of them, it was like hunting shows, and there was mining shows with Dorka, and these type of things. But there wasn't like the story being told. Like I'd been watching some videos on Casey Neistat, and I knew I couldn't make videos like him, but maybe I could do something kind of vlog-like, and that would be kind of cool. And I was kind of like this vlog spirit type of thing, and I still do my vlog. I'm in the process of getting ready to release vlog number 34. So I do a monthly vlog, not a daily or weekly or anything vlog like that. I tried to figure out what I would be able to do, and I knew based upon the 2 years of history I've done doing D&D content that I could do probably a video a week would be about my best. And I figured that if I wanted to make a good video and get it out there, I could start it out with once a month, and then I'd be able to work around that with some other stuff. So I decided to just go with a monthly vlog to show my character update, because I also didn't want to make like the scene from Avatar where it's an everyday thing and the guy's like, I just did this yesterday, like, do you really want me to say what I did in the last 24 hours? Also, because I was going to be a free-to-play player, I really didn't feel like I was going to be doing that much interesting stuff to really show a daily vlog. And if I was to go and put money into the game, I'd have to put so much money into the game for it to be continuously fresh and new. And I even felt like that would have a time limit. Like, you can only make so many vlogs before you start to redo the same stuff over and over again. I really didn't feel like that was the direction I wanted to go either. So I was going to go ahead and do a monthly vlog, and I was going to go ahead and just do extra content around the vlog. And that was basically my thought. I'll just do 4 videos a week, or a month, excuse me, and then I'll go ahead and do one of those videos as a vlog. And you can see with my vlog 0 character creation, I actually go through and I have the little funny, I play video games, and I work out, or I don't play video games type of thing. I forget what the exact wording was. I still remember the fact that happened. Anyways, I got into it. I found Camp Icarus to be just like any other starting area, Well, technically, the lead up to Camp Icarus, I found to be a very smooth transition that was very intuitive and that type of stuff. I got to Camp Icarus, I found it to be very standard, lots of new people, not really a whole lot of help in that area. Some people in the periphery kind of helping, some people that are just wanting to level whatever up that will be there to kind of socialize, meet some new people, build their corporation, society, guild, whatever you want to call it, in this case society. So I found those people, and it was all very standard. I was like, alright, this is just like every other video game I've ever played. Great. Graphics are better than many games I've played. Perfect. The sci-fi content is very rare. This is awesome. The fact that there's no rails I'm stuck on. This is an open sandbox world is amazing, and my light is jacking up on me. This is one of the things I hope to fix in my new studios thing. That's the reason why everything behind me is gone. This is one of my last videos in this area. Excuse me while I stand up. Alright, well, I'm just going to have to deal with this light being out for right now. I have a different lighting system at the new place. Anyways, um, so I was moving along. I got learning about different free-to-play methods, these type of things. I was doing sweating. I was working on my skills, trying to wrap my head around it. If you ever done a Google search for Eve Online learning curve, you'll see this thing, and it shows like this learning curve that's going like this, and it goes whoop, like that. And then at the top, there's like a tree, and then there's like people kicking other people off, and then there's people falling off, and there's like a bulldozer pushing people off, and that type of stuff. Because what it really is you get to here, now you have a greater understanding of the world around you, and you realize you haven't left the ground down here. You're still gotta go up this thing, because there's so much to learn that your perspective changes and everything changes with it. And that's what I was finding with this game, and that actually really excited me, because that meant that there was way more content and way more for me to do, and I like these type of games anyways. So this was just perfect. Very excited, getting excited, learning, finding things to talk about, giving my perspective from a new player. They were wrong, they were incorrect, they were partial truths, they were completely on accident, just like anyone else who's learning the game would say. And it was a little bit on purpose. I played, I researched, I looked into it the best I could, but I knew the information I was putting out maybe had a little bit of mythology in it and whatnot. And I feel like that's still good. We don't understand all of the game. And if we go with what we know and what we can prove, then we limit what the possibilities could be. And I'm interested in what making these connections that not everyone else has already made before you, which I've stated a lot. But as I've gained more knowledge, I've learned more about what the devs have said is absolutely not true, and what they've kind of omitted around. And one of these gets into a recent rabbit hole I went down about loot. In the last video, I had gotten to a discussion about loot and how efficiency versus DPP mattered or didn't matter, and how looter skills may have been what they were conflating these things with, or whatever. And as I got looking into it, I realized that we're both kind of right, which is great. There is that efficiency only affects 7%, and then there is the other thing, but there's also the caveat that efficiency also affects loot composition. But if it only affects loot composition 7% of the whole, if the weight of efficiency is only 7%, really that's nothing. And I think what they thought was I was arguing for extreme high efficiency, and what I was saying is that I had found with MOCOTs that some lower efficiency weapons were doing better than higher efficiency weapons. That was all I was saying. But because that is not fully understood and explored, and because maybe there's more to that than what I have data-wise, I haven't really gotten into that yet. When I get into Season of Crafting 1, I'm going to be talking about this specifically in a greater detail. But that's not yet. And even that's going to be imperfect. There's still going to be some mythology in there, and I'm going to have to go back into it and dig a little deeper, because there's other factors into it that I've now just recently learned. For example, more than your efficiency is how much your PED being put in matters. So the fact that I'm using laser scopes and lasers and scopes is not necessarily just the efficiency being raised, but it's also the PED is increased. And maybe that has more meaning than I initially gave it credit for. So I need to look into that more and figure that out. And then how does amps work? I don't know. I gotta figure that part out too, and I haven't really worked into that. This is off topic. Sorry for the tangent. Let me get back onto this. So, my story has been, I started out sweating. I started out very much free to play. I did not drop a dime into this game for over 2.5 years into the game. I have now put money into the game. I have found that to be such an adrenaline rush, though, that I'm having to temper myself, because there are so many things I can now do with a little bit of PED versus having no money and having it literally be free-to-play methods. So when I started out with like everyone else. I was sweating and swunting crevenzas at Borealis, that type of stuff. I started out with the punies, swunting them or running them to the guns to get them killed. I drowned, however those little three-legged creatures are by the Campagriffs. So I did all those things repeatedly, and that worked well. I didn't have enough game knowledge to become a guide. I didn't have enough working knowledge of many things to be able to do these other free-to-play methods I heard about. I quickly ran into everything that I could hunt didn't have great markup on the items because everyone else was hunting it. So there was demand, but there was not markup. Putting it on the auction kind of was pointless because by the time as a free-to-play player, I built up enough to surpass the initial cost of the auction. I would have to wait forever and ever and ever. It was just much better to TT it and move on. So very early I adopted the TT and move on because no one wants to go buy a PED worth of animal muscle alone. That's really a waste of everyone's time involved. It's a couple clicks maybe of something, and you're not going to get people to reroute. But when you're starting out, that PED matters, as I'll get into. I found myself completely broke several times. I was given several gifts by random people that would run by and see me. Most of these gifts were stuff, frankly, that was best just to TT and not actually use. Like the launchers that people got from hunting robots was a completely pointless gun that gave me a little bit more ammo to do. But I appreciate the fact that people gave me anything. I had not found the ability to sell sweat was what I wanted it to be. I was really kind of hoping to get like 1.4 PED. And during that period of time, it was very difficult to get 1.4 PED. It would be lucky to get 1.2. And I really felt that it was a buyer's market. And I did sell several times at 1.2. I didn't do it, willingly. I was like, oh, what else can I do? But the game continued. I progressed. I got better. I got my evade skill up a little bit. I got my weapon skill up a little bit. I could now use my Justabukin a little bit better, or my Bukin at that point in time a little bit better. Then I got a real big hit, real lucky with a guy who gave me, who'd won a big hit, like a 90 PED hit, and that was huge for him back then. Retrospect, that's a pretty standard global, but for this guy, that was a big hit. I say this now as I can't believe that meant that much to him or whatever. But he felt like he needed to give back to people because he had won out so well. So he was willing to buy sweat at 3 ped thing, and he wanted to buy 9K worth of sweat. I only had 3K to sell it, so I sold him my 3K. And we got talking a little bit, and I told him I'd really appreciate it, because he doesn't have any idea how much this really actually means to me and that type of stuff. Anyways, he ended up flying me by quad wing to Arcadia, because he said, you know, Arcadia is actually a better place. It gets you a little bit away from the starting area. You have less starting area problems. He said, and there's something about a Milo mission where you can get free ped every day on a daily mission. I said, totally about that. Guy, tell me how. And we got there, and he's like, well, you got to fly to the moon. So I just went and looked. It's on the moon. You need to go to the moon. I said, well, how do I get there? He's like, well, you can fly a ship, but you have to have a thruster. I said, okay. That sounds like it's outside my reach right now. He said, I don't think there's anything on the moon you can hunt, though. I said, well, that's terrible. I can go there and get free ped every day, 2 ped worth of ammo every day for doing some sort of mission, but there's nothing there I can hunt. Okay. So I said, all right, well, thank you, I appreciate it. And he's like, well, I can sell you my Sleipnir. I'll sell it to you at a cost. Oh. Okay, well, how much is that? And he's like, well, it's very used. So, well, that's not a bad thing. I don't have a lot of money. So he sold me for 5.41 ped, which is what it was at the time. And it's not much less than that now. I still have it. And he said, you have to find a thruster. I don't have a thruster to sell you, but you can find them sometime used, or maybe you can ask someone that would sell you a used one, so you can at least get there and eventually get back, and then, you know, that you can start that. And we talked about the wheel, you know, trying to build it up, and I agreed, and so that, I, you know, thanked him again. Anyways, so he left, and I have talked to him a couple times in game since then, but I've never really ever seen him again in person. I picked up a mentor along the way who I met twice. Once when I became their disciple, and once when I graduated and did our little group hunt. Other than that, it wasn't a whole lot of any of that. I found out that you could graduate separate from when that was. You didn't have to click the actual acceptance thing until you went somewhere else. And then whatever planet you went to is the where you got that stuff. And I really wanted to get the Arcadia armor versus the Calypso armor, even though I was from Calypso. So I went ahead and flew back to Arcadia. I got to Arcadia, and by this time I had built up enough and had thrusters and this type of stuff. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go ahead and fly to the moon and do this. And I flew to the moon. Graduated, gives you the Arcadia armor from the moon. I wasn't sure if it would completely mess me over and I wouldn't get anything, or if I get the Arcadia stuff. Turns out you just get the Arcadia Musca stuff, so I got my adjusted Musca from the moon, which is great. That was pretty awesome, and that armor really kind of sat and collected dust for about another year, because I only used it a couple times. Because everything I hunted with my now adjusted Buchan. The adjusted Buchan I had gained when the Society mate of mine flew me back to Calypso, had run me through the gauntlet, so I got my Vivo S10 and that type of stuff, and had run me up the chain, or basically stood there while I did the chain for the adjusted Buchan. And I went ahead and did that, got the weapon, got it all healed up, got it switched over. Really didn't look back. I refer to that video in particular as One Crazy Night in Crazy Run in Space, or whatever it was. One Crazy Run Through Space is what it was, and that's over 2 years ago I did that. And anyways, on the way back, he took me to Planet Cyrene, and I got my maze hammer. which I did some videos on that. Then I went, this is all, I'm kind of jumping around in my timeline here a little bit, but I went back to Planet Arcadia, and I wanted to be able to hunt these things, and I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. I guess I'll hunt Gallards, because that's a nice level 0 mob that I can sweat and I can hunt and I can sweat these things. And I did that for a while. And so one of the funnier things was it was a 5-ped hunt. And I remember people going like, oh my god, I literally shoot more than 5-ped every time I pull the trigger. Then I had my transcendence into the moon, and I made my way that way. Learned about the P-Tech Extractor Daily Maintenance mission by Master Engineer Milo. And I basically lived there for 9 months, a year, just doing, I didn't even go to Planet Arcadia. I found that there was a cool creature there called a menorah, and if you watch my content, you'll see I have several dozen videos of me hunting menorahs and discussing scopes, and could the game go mobile, and talking about my Bukin and my maze hammer on menorahs, and dear Lord, I bet there's 30, 40 videos on menorahs. But that got me towards crafting. My first crafting thing became beneficial when a society mate would do these loops, and he would always end up on Arcadia Moon, where he would like to collect certain things and craft this certain thing here for whatever reason, or maybe he was taking, he was not, he didn't necessarily tell me, he just did this thing, and he was willing to pay twice the TT basically. Yeah, I'll do that, because I could make it there. It required sweat and animal muscle oil. So I would go kill menorahs for the animal muscle oil, and I would sweat them. Making the Humvee was a thing that I did for a little bit, and it got my feet wet. It made me kind of excited to get into crafting. So I find this crafting thing is something it really gets me excited. It gets me wanting to do more of it. It's very interesting to me. The not knowing what's out there, not knowing the direction things are going, not knowing what it takes to get it, that it's not just open and answered, is a very exciting part of crafting. Knowing that you might have knowledge of how to access something that other people may not know could be very alluring, shall we say. So I have gone ahead and continued to do crafting. I came up with the idea that I could go and harvest bureaucrite stone from the moon, especially, and Arcadia planet, and then I would take a mothership and I'd fly it to someplace like Monria, and I would do 30 days with 1,500 runs, click runs, which means I need 45,000, which got me down this big path. And I got one of my viewers very excited, and he's like, why don't you go to Toulon and take my EP1 and run that for 30 days. Be 1,000 clicks, cost 600 ped. I'll give you the 600 ped to use, and then I will like whatever you get back plus my blueprint pack, and you can just have fun. I said, that sounds amazing. Absolutely. So my Season of Crafting 1, which isn't still yet to come out, is that. But now that has really made me want to do this even more. And Planet Taloon is pretty cool and is completely not free to play. You have to find a way to make it there. You could do it free to play, but you know, they don't have the Milo mission run, so you're going to do a lot more sweating. So it is a thing that I decided to go ahead and deposit, because I did a whole video on it. Am I still, you know, free to play? You know, I've been given these gifts. You know, my family wanted to bless me with a gift for Christmas. We ended up doing it after Christmas, but you know what I'm saying, which was this year. And you know, these things propelled me towards where I am now, where I have deposited, and that allowed me to have one of the most amazing mayhems I'd had ever. Now I only completed the bronze, yes, but I am still a fairly new player. I actually, at the time of mayhem, I did not have a 30 in laser in any weapon skill. I don't have a 30 in any of my professions. I was a 29, but I am since made 30 and have unlocked serendipity. But that's a whole nother thing for a whole nother video, and that is going to be very exciting. But that wouldn't have happened as fast as it did if I didn't deposit. Also, the number of crafting videos I could potentially do has significantly increased, and it has driven the direction I'm going to go in the future. I talked about Mind Arc driven content, very much still a thing. Going to be doing some texture stuff, which will lead me down to hunting certain creatures. Very, very, very much still a thing. It's not going to be the complete focus, because I've got things I need to do and I want to accomplish, but it is definitely a thing I want to do. So anyways, we're going to go down that road eventually. So that is my 2.5 year what my story is. I started out as an old-time gamer when I found the game. I found it through content-driven material that was out there. I have done content-driven material from the day I started, and I continue to do this for the unforeseeable future. I do not see me ever stopping. So, hey guys, this is Editor Zone. I forgot to add that little segment where I talked about there being a different global, so I'm going to go ahead and do that real quickly near the end of the video, but not quite at the end. So I've killed a mob right before the recording of this, and it unlocked my Codex. I've been recording my Codex. I actually wanted to show the progression of the Codex a little bit through this mayhem, so I wanted to have it in a little small snippet, but I was going to continue to hunt in the mayhem while I did it. As you can see here, I'm picking something that helps with my damage, because that's the one I'm really wanting to go with. I need to get my damage up. So I go ahead and do that. I click over to my meta tab. Oh look, I got a little meta thing. Great, pick up some stamina, because absolutely. Oh, I got a different one. I forgot to do that apparently earlier. Oh look, we'll go ahead and get that. Perfect, thank you. Go ahead and take that. Now I'll go ahead and kill this mob, finish it up, and yes, globaled an addition. What a crazy, crazy little run. It ended so quickly because I was stunned, and I was like, oh, I gotta hit record, and I was like, no, I'm already recording. I just turned it off. The blight of having two screens. Anyways, back to my outro as I'm getting ready to go to it. Anyways, guys, you want to see more videos like this? Sorry for the lighting, still haven't got it fixed yet. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Get this out to more people if you don't mind. this is part of a little contest, I guess, that Entropia Universe is doing. I actually have at my new place a water ball already, so I don't necessarily need a second one, but I would have a second one. I certainly would use it, and I think it's super cool, but you'll see it as a prop behind me, because I actually already bought one. So anyways, hope you guys like this video. Check you guys out in the next one. Keep burning that pet.